Guys, welcome to another tutorial for Warframe. Today we're going to talk about something called Syndicates. Now if you're a beginning player you won't have access to this because the Syndicate doesn't open until Mastery Rank 3 if I recall correctly. So after you level up through all your gaining of affinity and ranking up frames and weapons and playing new places and all that, when you finally reach Mastery Rank 3 it'll then open up on the console in your set. So, your main spaceship hub, if you will. To find these, you go towards your navigation, just look to the left, and it's a big blocky screen right over here, so it's kind of hard to miss. Granted, if they decide to update the UI in the future, it might change in looks, but this is where it is at the moment. So when you're over here and you're looking at it, it will actually scroll through all the different syndicates and the standing you have with them. So you can just stand here and see everything you have. Like right there it says parent sequence is negative 44,000. Above that is the maximum amount of standing you can earn from just representing the guild. Or the syndicate, I should say. So how that works is you will gain, when you ally yourself with a syndicate, an insignia that you can wear. And then as you wear that insignia, pretty much the more dudes you kill while wearing it, the more standing you will get for that syndicate. And this extra standing possible, although it resets daily, this cap is only on that, earning from that. If you have any kind of sigils from them, any symbols or markers or anything of the item variety that you can trade into the representatives, that's not counted against it. And if you do the actual syndicate missions, that's not counted against this extra standing. So the only cap is on how much you get for just wanton slaughter, basically. Now moving in here, there's 6 different syndicates at the moment. There may be more later on. And how it works is each syndicate is allied with another syndicate. And when you represent the one, the ally of that one will gain a reduced by about half syndicate standing gain. So if I'm playing as the Steel Meridian and I were to gain, say, 10 standing, Red Veil would gain 5 because it's an ally. On the other end of the spectrum, there are 2 syndicates that are opposed to each syndicate. So in the case of the Steel Meridian, the alignments are displayed right here, and right there is actually the leader of this syndicate talking to you. That'll happen pretty much every time you go to this screen. It tells you, Red Veil is allied, so I gain 50% standing with them whenever I'm representing Steel Meridian. I lose 50% from New Loka because they are opposed to me, and then the parent sequence is this syndicate's enemy, so I would actually lose 100% of what I gained from them. Now, this at first sounds really bad because you're like, oh man, I'm going to be in such a hole, I'll never be able to actually play as a parent sequence person if I was a Steel Meridian. To some extent this is true, to some extent it's not. You aren't necessarily locked in to any syndicate. You can change at any given time. How it does work though is that there's 5 ranks within that syndicate and then 2 negative ranks. So the first negative rank is capped at negative 22,000, the second is negative 44,000. So if you're in the hole with a certain syndicate, it will take quite a bit of effort to get out of that hole with a syndicate. The other thing to be wary about is you can go down in standing from ranks. So if I started playing nothing but the parent sequence, I might find myself going from rank 4 down to rank 3 or down to rank 2 or even eventually in the hole with Steel Meridian. So it's really one of those things where at most you can kind of balance 3 and get up there and keep earning. The way I went with it, I really like Steel Meridian. So the only ones they're working with is Red Veil. If I were to go to Red Veil, you'll see that they're friends with Steel Meridian, and 2 other people hate them. So by working on the 2 that I have picked, I have pretty much shut myself out from all the other ones because they're all opposed to those 2. Now, why do I want to join a syndicate? That's the main question you're probably asking. The benefits of joining a syndicate outside of the lure that's contained within them, which you can kind of use to classify how you envision your Tenno, your character, is a couple fold, really. I mean, first thing you want to think about if you're more of a fluff-oriented person is you're going to want to read the descriptions and kind of base that, your main decision, off of that, because that's the important part to you, because you like that fluff and you want to kind of play your character as though they are that. Granted, this isn't exactly a huge role-playing game or anything like that, so for most it's not going to matter. The second thing you're going to want to pay attention to is the offerings.
Here's what we can do for
Now, what the offerings are is they're different between all the different syndicates. There are consumables, there are cosmetics, there's even some weapons and some mods all contained within the syndicates that you can purchase by using your standing. So at the moment you could see I have 94,183 standing right here. In order to buy these, say I wanted to buy the Defiant Sigil, it would cost me 2,500 standing. So I would lose that standing. I can make it back up later by playing the game, but it would be deducted almost like a currency. Now the benefits to sigils is that they gain that extra standing that I was talking about before, wherein you have that daily cap that you can hit. In the case of the first tier of sigils, it's a 5% gain. Next tier is 8%, then 11, then 13, and then finally your final sigil is going to give you 15. In order for these sigils to actually gain you that rep, or for you to gain any rep for anybody really, you have to be wearing a Syndicate sigil. I'll go into that in a little bit. First, we're going to go through the rest of these. So you have consumables like a large team heal restore blueprint, which, as you guessed, it gives you a blueprint that you can build an item that gives everybody on a team health back. There's also consumables like the Roller Spectre, which after you craft it, you can equip it into your gear slots, and then you could use it during a mission that you're on to kind of summon a bunch of roller allies. These could be fun or they could be useless depending on what difficulty you're playing. I'm sure I haven't really bothered because if I really want other people around, I usually just play with friends or hop in a pug. Now, there's also Void Key Packs, which are consumables that allow you to get into the Void and do missions there. I'll be discussing this later, so I'm not going to go into it right now, but you can look forward to that if you want to know more about the Void later. Each syndicate also has about 3 weapons that they favor. In the case of Steel Meridian, the Hex Shotgun, the Dual Cleaver melee weapon, and the Sobek Shotgun. These are the 3 things that they kind of favor, and they have mods for each of these weapons, which do various different things. In the case of the Scattered Justice, it gives it a massive amount of multi-shot, which means that when you fire, it actually doubles the volume of rounds coming off of it. So if I were to shoot a rifle once, and it had 100% multi-shot, every time I pulled that trigger, it would be shooting 2 bullets for the price of 1. And then it also has a special move that's tied to that syndicate. In the case of Steel Meridian, it's called Justice. So as you kill things with that, it will build up your Justice meter in the mission, and when that fills up, the special move is executed. Now, you probably are thinking, well, I don't want to play with just those 3 things. Well, it's not a big deal, and later on at the final level, you can actually buy a special secondary weapon that is themed towards that syndicate. In the case of the Steel Meridian, you got this Veil Core Merlock right here. Now, I have the original Merlock already, and I enjoy the crap out of it. So, getting another one, not really something that I'm disappointed in. It will have, however, some statistical changes. It might fire faster, it might hit harder. It's a kind of nice give and take with the stats to make it slightly different, so it's not the exact same experience. The other benefit to the Syndicate weapons is whichever one you buy for whichever Syndicate comes by default with the Syndicate special move. So in the case of Steel Meridian, again, that Justice bar would fill up as I use it and keep executing. And what it does then is you don't have to put that mod in a slot to have that effect. The other thing you can get are ability modifiers. Now, all these do is exactly what it sounds like. They are mods that you slot into your Warframe that change the abilities. Pretty straightforward, right? So, for instance, the Warframe Ember's default move is Fireball, where you pretty much just cause a fireball, fling it out, and blow up some dudes. In the case of this mod here that I'm sitting on, just like in the video when I talked about mods, it has all the same stuff on there, but the effect on this one actually gives it an extra thing. So if I use it on an ally instead of an enemy, their attacks gain 100% fire damage. So it adds a little bit more versatility to some of the moves. It adds a little bit something extra that you can do, and it ranges anywhere from some moves all of a sudden become healing, some moves cause stuns, some moves allow you to use a ability that you would normally only use once, and you could use it again and it'll sacrifice that move to do something else. So it adds a little bit of versatility. Some of them are cool, some of them seem kind of lackluster, but it's all up to individual playstyle at that point, whether you would like it or not, and how much you shall get out of it. Now the other thing, and probably one of the coolest parts about the Syndicates, is at the final tier you can also gain access to a Syndana. Now, a Syndana is basically like a scarf or a back piece cosmetic. Most of them look like scarves, but in the case of this guy here, if you look at it, he does kind of look like it's some kind of a back piece attachment. They are unique for each of the 6 syndicates, and they are non-tradable, whereas the mods, the weapons, all that stuff is tradable. The Syndicate Syndana is strictly for what you have. So if I'm Steel Meridian, I'm going to be able to get Steel Meridian one. I'm not going to be able to get, Pair and Sequence because I'm not with them. And I can't just buy it from somebody else. So if you want to earn that, you have to go all the way through it. Now the reason I like this is because it's a cosmetic piece. And most of the cosmetic pieces in here, as far as things like scarves and little dangly bits that aren't really necessary, or armor pieces for your Warframes, all those are real money bought items because they don't really have any effect on the game, which when you're playing a free-to-play game, that's what you want. You want to be able to play the game without having to deal with having to pay for things, unless it's something that you just want for kicks and giggles. So what this does is it means you can get a cool scarf without having to pay money. You just have to sink time into the syndicates in order to earn the 100,000 standing on top of getting up to the maximum rank so you can do it. Now on that topic, there's 5 ranks to proceed through. Each rank will have a specific point cost to hit in order for you to be eligible to go to the next title or the next rank. So in the case of my Red Veil, it's 70,000. In the case of my Steel Meridian, it's at 99,000 because I'm one step away from being at the top rank. In order to do this, and also in order to join the actual syndicate, you have to sacrifice something. Now, one of the things that you sacrifice, for instance, when I hit 99,000 standing, that will go back to 0 when I rank up to the next rank. It goes away. And this is basically kind of to prevent you from just ranking up, playing like 2 matches and being able to rank up again. On top of the having to be maxed out on your standing, there's also an item cost, and this gets kind of a little bit more drastic as you go. The credit cost will increase. Right now, for me to go to the next syndicate standing, I would have to pay 500,000 credits in-game, which at one point was chump change to me, but of course, if you look up at my money right now, it's getting kind of low, so it's a reasonable amount of money. But this is also, again, the final step. The first step, you might only be paying 10,000 or whatever. It also requires an item. Now, at first level, this can be something stupid, and I got 1,000,000 of those. And then you start getting into trickier things, like, okay, well, now it requires you to sacrifice a Forma. Okay, and you get those sometimes from alerts and things like that. And then it might start asking for prime parts. Like, in the case of mine, it wants me to get a Rhino Prime helmet and sacrifice it to the Syndicate to show that I'm serious about being in it. So in order to get to the next rank, in this specific scenario, I need to get 99,000 standing, $500,000, and a Rhino Prime helmet, which is a Prime gear, which only drops from the Void, and I'll get into that later. So it has a little bit of, you kind of got to be devoted to get to the top of your syndicate. It won't take a super long time if you're really serious about doing it, because you get 3 syndicate missions for each syndicate a day that you can run, and they hand out some pretty decent amounts of standing on top of the bonus standing you can gain just by slaughtering people. But the money and the items are definitely going to be where most people hit that wall of, okay, well, now I got to try to get this thing. Now, as mentioned before, you can equip these insignias in order to play and gain that bonus standing. And how you do this is you go to your Warframe's appearance and you go to this regalia section. And inside here on the bottom you will see front sigil and back sigil. You can only wear one syndicate sigil at any given time. I kind of have mine up there hidden away because I just put it up there. But you can kind of see it right there in the middle of her back right now. Little faded. And you have access to all of them. You also have access to some other sigils that you can wear that don't really have an effect, like the mastery sigil, which just displays your mastery, but it doesn't really do anything per se. Now, I'm wearing my Steel Meridian sigil right now, my insignia. So I will gain 13% of my standing, you know, per kill, based off of the affinity that I would be getting per kill towards that bonus cap. If I want to gain that standing for the Red Veil, I would have to equip the Red Veil sigil. But I can't wear both. I can only have one of the sigils on at a time. And I can't combine the same thing either. I can't go Protectorate sigil is Steel Meridian and the Unyielding sigil is Steel Meridian. I can't equip both of those either. You can have one Syndicate sigil on your Warframe at a time. And roughly that is the Syndicate system. There are some other adverse effects. In the solar map, you have this far right top piece that looks kind of like a cube made out of dots. These are all your Syndicate missions that are available. They refresh daily. As you can see, it's 11 minutes at the time of recording this before the daily reset happens. They will change what mission type they are, what planets they are, what levels they are, but the higher up in rank you are with your Syndicate, the higher the levels are for the missions that you're running. Who you're going up against will change. It's pretty much just another kind of running of the standard mission, except for a different reward. The other thing that can happen is the Syndicates that don't like you, in my case, the Perrin sequence and New Loka, as you can see, are negative 44,000. They really don't like me. As a matter of fact, they don't like me to the maximum capacity of not liking me. Those groups, since they hate me so much, can actually send hit squads after me. And if you're wondering what might be in the hit squad, you can actually go to the offerings, and this first section right here is generally what they send after you. So in the case of New Loka, I might get some infested ancients, and in the case of the Perrin sequence, I might get a bunch of Moa specters coming after me. Now, you would think, oh, that's not bad, I can take on a bunch of these little guys. They're actually souped up Eximus versions. So they all have aura effects like energy drain and toxin damage and arson and all that good stuff that you'll find by playing the game and running into bad guys. So they are a little bit of a challenge, and at the wrong time they can absolutely cause you to fail whatever you're trying to do. And I can get more into how that kind of works in a different video when I talk about marks and how those work. But for the Syndicates, that's pretty much all there is to them. It's just another extra little gain with some more rewards and a little bit more lure, and just a kind of way to identify your Warframe a little bit more. Because if I'm working for Steel Meridian, then maybe as a player I have this sense of justice and I kind of want to pretend I'm that hero who's out there saving all the underdogs. In game-wise, you get some mods that you can get. You have a couple of cool little symbols that you can wear that you can get. And in the end, you can get an extra weapon. You can get a cool scarf. And it gives you a little something more to do and gain extra out of the game. That is it for my go over. I guess it's not even really a tutorial because I didn't really teach you a whole lot about it. I just kind of explained some stuff, but that's it for Syndicates. If you have any questions, just leave a comment or whatever, and I'll try to address it and get back to it and hopefully help you out with it. That's it for now, though.